Well now, sugar, come sit by me. Take a load off your feet. I got a story brewing just like this sweet tea here. It's a story about love, greed, and what happens when folks forget that blood ain't supposed to come with a price tag. My name's Martha Jean, but around here, everyone just calls me Grandma Jean. Every Sunday for over 30 years, my porch turned into a little slice of heaven. My daughter Nancy and her two boys, Ben and Cole, would come over for my famous tea and peach cobbler. Harold, my late husband, always said, "Martha, your tea parties are what keep this family stitched together." And Lord, he was right back then. The laughter sounded real. The hugs felt warm, and nobody was talking about money. But after Harold passed, something changed. The laughter got thinner, the visits got shorter. And before long, I realized the only thing keeping them cumin was the thought of what I might leave behind. Ben was the first to show his cards. He was always talking about business, houses, and how real estate's the smartest thing going right now. He'd look around this old porch like it was a bag of gold. "Grandma," he said one Sunday, "you're sitting on a fortune here. You should sell this land while it's still worth something." Cole, bless his heart, didn't say much. He just nodded along, always trailing behind his mama and big brother. And Nancy, my only daughter, she started pressing too. "Mama, this house is too big for you all alone. You could move to the city with me, live easier." I smiled and said, "Darling, easier ain't always happier." But I could see it plain as the greed had started eating away at their hearts. A few weeks later, Nancy brought a man in a suit to my porch. "He's just a friend, Mama," she said. But that man wasn't no friend, he was a realtor. He started talking about property value, market trends, how my little house could bring in more money than I ever needed. I just sat there stirring my tea slow, pretending not to hear the hunger in their voices. That night, I sat by Harold's picture and whispered, "They forgot what love looks like. Harold, guess it's time I remind Em." Next Sunday came, and I put on my best blue dress. The one Harold said made me look like the sky after a storm. I set the table with my finest china, brewed my best tea, and waited. When they arrived, I smiled sweetly and said, "Y'all, today's tea party is special. I got something important to tell you." Their eyes lit up. I could almost hear their thought she's gonna talk about the will. I took a sip of tea and said, "I've been thinking a lot lately about this house, this land, and what's gonna happen when I'm gone." Ben leaned forward. "And what did you decide, Grandma?" I smiled. "Well, sugar, I realized something why all might not appreciate what's been built with love until you lose it. So I made a decision." They waited, holding their breath. "I sold the house," I said calmly. Nancy gasped. "What, Mama? You didn't?" "I did," I said, keeping my voice soft. "To someone who's gone, nah, use it to take care of people who got nowhere else to go. This OL house is gonna be a home for lost souls and hungry hearts, a shelter." The porch went quiet. Ben's face turned red. You sold it. You just gave away our inheritance. I looked him straight in the eyes. It was never yours to inherit, boy. It was your grandpa's love that built this home, not greed, not money. Nancy started crying. Mama, how could you do this to your own family? I reached out and took her hand. Because family ain't supposed to be about tacking, it's about giving. And somewhere along the way, y'all forgot that. Cole looked down. Tears fell in silent. Grandma, I'm sorry. I smiled at him gently. You still got a good heart, baby. Don't let the world harden it. They left that day angry, slamming doors, raising voices. But deep down, I knew time would teach them what I couldn't with words. A few months later, I passed on peacefully in my sleep. The house had already been turned into what they now called the Gene Haven home. Kids played on the porch. Laughter echoed, again real laughter, the kind that heals. But my story didn't end there. After my funeral, Nancy, Ben, and Cole were handed 3 envelopes. My lawyer said, "These are from your mother and grandmother. She wanted you to open them together." They sat on that same porch, the one they once fought over, and opened the letters. Inside each one was a note, written in my hand. I didn't take anything from you. I gave you everything you needed. A lesson. Money fades, but love remembered never dies. Find it again, and you'll find me too. There was also a small gold key taped inside. Confused, they followed the address I'd written. It led them to a small garden behind the new shelter. Buried beneath a rose bush was a wooden chest. Inside, there wasn't gold or jewelry, just photos. Photos of us. Every Sunday, every smile, every tea party, and at the bottom, one more note. If you ever miss me, pour some tea, sit together, and talk. That's the real inheritance. Tears filled their eyes. Nancy whispered, "We forgot who we were, Mama." Ben broke down, crying harder than I'd ever seen. Cole placed his hand on his brother's shoulder. "Let's fix this." So they did. They started helping at the shelter every weekend. They fixed the porch swing, painted the walls, served tea to the lonely the same way I used to. And every time they did, they said it felt like I was sitting right there with M, humming an old tune, whispering, "Now that's my family." And if you drive by Maple Street today, you'll see a sign hung in above the porch, Gene St. House, where every cup comes with a lesson. That's my story, sugar. A little sweet, a little bitter, just like life itself. Now, drink your tea before it gets cold. And remember, love's only real when you give it without counting. Good night, darling. Grandma loves you always. Thanks for listening to my story today. If it touched your heart, feel free to share it. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales from the heart. We'll see you next time.